Want to read you something a friend sent me. We've known each other for, 16 years now. A thing I appreciate about you, maybe the thing I appreciate about you most, is how open and welcoming you are when I fire hose you with compliments and encouragement. A lot of people shy away from it or don't even open the door to it. You, on the other hand, would have it injected into your veins if you could. First, I blushed a little when I read this, but I sat with it for a minute because I felt this duality of who I am today and who I used to be. Because this was not always true for me. I was not always a receiver. There was a high achieving version of me that would have deflected every compliment, turned it into a question, made a joke, made a sexual joke. That's still my go-to. If I'm feeling a little too vulnerable, I'll make a sex joke, make it a little bit uncomfortable that way, minimize it, deny it, say something like, "Oh, I'm just doing my job." And that version of me was not as healthy, was always seeking approval, had desire, but it was out of a need for validation, and really had a minimal capacity to receive pleasure and joy and just let things be in my good, receive my good just because I always felt like I had to earn it. So I was doing the most for everyone in every area of my life, partners, employees. And here's what I know. After 11 years of working with high achieving women and an increasing amount of men, actually, if you are a high achiever, if you had emotionally unavailable or abusive parents, if you've been in an abusive relationship or are in an abusive relationship, or a relationship where you are giving more than you are receiving, one of the fundamental wounds that we have is not knowing how to receive pleasure and joy. We know how to earn, we know how to perform, we know how to work for it. We know how to give and give until we're empty and then give a little more until it's affecting our health, our physical bodies, our bank accounts, our emotions. But receiving, letting something in without immediately having to justify it, reciprocate it, explain why we deserve it, that's foreign. It feels dangerous. It feels greedy. When things come too easily, it's almost like we don't trust it. We don't want it. We want it to be hard. We're addicted to the struggle. And there's also this fear that if I took up too much space with my needs, with my pleasure, something bad would happen, or I'd owe somebody, or the other shoe would drop. Because I've also had this pattern of the abusive people in my life. When I'm too big, too shiny, too full of joy, they like to correct for it, to try to cut me down. And I'm sure you can all think of people in your lives that are doing the same to you. Okay, could be a mother-in-law, could be a coworker. This is not a personality trait. It's not who we are. These are learned nervous system responses in response to trauma. Most of us learned that love was conditional. Attention came from performance or shrinking yourself so small to not be noticed by the abuser or your angry parent. Maybe we were punished by the withdrawal of love or not loved the way that we needed to be. So we became incredibly good at being efficient, and incredibly uncomfortable with having any needs or receiving at all, because it usually came at a price. Okay, so how we're going to talk about today how this shows up in the bedroom, because you know me. I like to give you the context first, because then it will land. I want to talk to you about something that most of you high achievers don't have language for yet. If you've been here for a while, this is something that I teach to my clients in my paid programs. It's something that really can increase the tension, the pull, the spice factor in your relationships, in your flirting. But we need safety to do this. Safety in ourselves, safety in our relational container, and our partner should be able to self-contain as well. And if you are listening, there is like almost 100% guarantee that those three things are not happening. And a part of it is being unsafe and feeling triggered, feeling unsafe, and having the tools. And if you need to know what those are, fill out the application. Let's hop on a call and we'll figure out how to fix it. If you're one of the very smart men listening, and you're like, how do I contain my wife? I want to help her. I don't know what to do. We can teach this in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, provided you're willing to listen and be called out. Okay, so praise kink. If you are a high achiever, you most likely have a praise kink. And in its simplest form, it's the experience of being aroused by verbal affirmation. Okay, it's be in and out of the bedroom. Being told you're doing well, being seen, being acknowledged. And I know you good girls, you're even just me saying that, you're already dropping into your bodies more, maybe feeling a little tingle in your pelvic floor. Okay, but before you write off this niche, if I attach the word kink or use any of my Dom training stuff, I see people glaze over. But before we write this off as niche or out there or not for you, think about what happens in your body, because this is in its essence, that's what good sex is. That's what intimacy is our ability to be present with high sensation, pleasure and pain, different sides of the same coin. So before you write this off as a niche, think about what actually happens in your body when your partner says, you feel so good. I'm so proud of you. For the high achiever who has spent her life performing for approval, it hits different. It tickles a little part of the pleasure centers in your brain. Okay, and this is when we can sort of use our trauma for us. And in sex and intimacy, this is the place where receiving is not only allowed, it's the whole damn point. And if we're stuck performing, which is our default, getting in our head, does this feel good for him, being out of our bodies? Praise kink can be a way to bring you in your body. And here's what it sounds like in practice, because I know you, I know your brain. We need to go through it all so you can understand it. But I want you to pay attention to how you respond internally as I say these things, because then you'll know if praise kink is for you or not. Okay, so when he says, that's my good girl, you're doing so good. You look so beautiful like this. Take your time. You're doing so good. Wow, look at you. So I really want you to think about it. How do those phrases feel in your body? Like, is it hot in here? It's hot. We can get a little playful with this and respond. I mean, sometimes I'm literally speechless or so overcome with sensation that it's just like, I'm so in my body and in sensation, I can't make words. But so you have some examples. So when he says, that's my good girl, and if you are fully in the experience, that is fine. But you could say, yes, I'm your good girl. Sometimes even if I'm so overwhelmed by the sensation and I love hearing it, I'll just say, tell me again, because I'll get that rush of pleasure again. Don't stop saying that. Tell me again slower. I'm so proud of you. Okay, if you like what he's doing, you can say, I know, don't stop. Or you could say, show me how proud. You look so good. Or you're doing so good. Don't stop. Okay, and if we can do this with men, if we can do this with a moan or a growl, it is hot in here. Because if you want her to be expressive, we need you to meet that energy too. These days of porn made by men for men, we're over that. Okay, where she's just like screaming and performing and maybe he's breathing heavy. And if you say, take your time, I've got you. Like, let it out, baby. I'm here. Okay. We also need you to be letting it out or emoting on a level. Do not expect her to do it when you will not yourself. Okay. Praise kink. And I know you're all juicy listening to this. The experience of being aroused by verbal affirmation during sex. These are permission slips to her pleasure. Okay. It's helping us stay in the experience instead of getting in our heads, managing it, performing it. And if you make me speechless during sex, like, A plus for you. Praise kink is a way to do it for high achievers. And guess what? The more good sex a woman has, the more good sex she wants. Sex is not a drive. We talked about this. I wrote about this in the Pink Canary. This sex is a reward system. So the more good sex you have, the more good sex you want. The reason most of my clients cannot access these states of pleasure. It's not about technique. It's not about lingerie. It's not that you don't even necessarily know what to say. It's that our nervous systems, our pleasure set point is set so low that when we are the recipient of that much attention and praise, even though we crave it, even though you all secretly want it injected into your veins, I see you. When somebody tells you you did a good job, how does it land? When you're validated, how does it land? If you're a high achieving people pleaser, we're fucked up the same way. So let's use it for us. Let's use it to connect our relationships. Let's use it to up our sexual pleasure experience game. So when somebody tells you you're doing so well, or even in non-sexual contexts, like, wow, you really knocked it out of the park on that project, on that surgery, on that year-end whatever. So do we immediately look for a catch? Do we minimize? Do we wonder why they're praising us? Okay, that response, that flinch, it lives in our nervous systems. It's learned to try to keep us safe. But we are adults, not little kids. When we can understand this intellectually, then eventually we can let it in. Learning to receive pleasure, learning to let life be easy is a body-based skill, a nervous system skill. And it is the foundation of desire and intimacy. It's the foundation of you having everything you say you want. And I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to tell you a first step of how we start receiving. But first, if this episode resonated for you, if you recognize yourself somewhere in this journey, if you struggle to receive, if you're shut down intimately in sex and you want a way out, you want a map, you want a framework, that is the pleasure path. I teach it in the group setting and I teach it one-on-one. If you're interested to find out what that looks like, head to the show notes, fill out an application, and you and I can get on a call. We can connect, figure out where you're at, where you want to be, your timeline, and figure out how I can best support you. Don't wait for things to get worse with your health, with your relationships. Take the action now. Your future self will thank you. A practice that I use with my clients is feeling love. So I want you to think of the last compliment you were given or the last time you were praised. And you might have buried that down so deep or deflected, it might be hard for you, but think about looking at a sunset or your dog, your kids laughing. Like, think about the feeling of love, pure love. And where do you feel it in your body? Your chest? Do you feel it expanding? Does it feel warm, tingly? And I want you to sit with that sensation for 2 or 3 seconds longer. And it sounds easy, but it's going to be very hard for you to do when you have a receiving problem. And if you want to go from a small little shot glass capacity of receiving to having praise and attention injected into your veins, we need to practice. We need to flex our receiving muscles. So before you deflect a compliment, find the feeling. Try to expand it. Even if you can stay with it for a few more seconds before you deflect, before you minimize, before you deny, before you give the credit to somebody else, practice staying with the sensation. Until next time, Superwomen.